The 23rd of May, 2026 shocked the world. In Giza, Oleksandr Usyk made a super fight with Rico Verhoeven. Everybody thought that this is a walkthrough fight, because Rico Verhoeven is from completely different combat sport. Oleksandr Usyk, the best heavyweight boxer of the modern days, a double undisputed champion, in cruiserweight and in heavyweight, showed a terrible performance. He was helpless inside the ring, almost lost all rounds, and suddenly dropped Rico Verhoeven at the end of the fight. A lot of fans and experts are thinking that Rico was able to continue, and that stoppage was after the bell. In 2018, Oleksandr Usyk already made a history when he became a cruiserweight undisputed champion. This weight class is not popular. That's why after a one more fight with Tony Bellew, he decided to vacate all his titles and move up in heavyweight. Some time ago, the most important weight class. In America, a heavyweight champion was the second person after the president. Everybody remembers the name Muhammad Ali and what he'd done for American people. This famous story with Vietnam. But Oleksandr Usyk was a cruiserweight champion. Means that he is not big in the weight class where is no limit. Modern heavyweights as Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury are much taller and bigger. Or if we are talking about the fighters as Daniel Dubois, they are very strong physically. Of course, Mike Tyson is a good example who is not high. But this heavyweight is very wide and physically strong and fast. Oleksandr Usyk is not this type of the fighter. When he fought in cruiserweight with Mary's Breedis, it was already obvious how it is hard for him to hold this pressure. A lot of people are thinking that he lost that fight. And Mary's was literally robbed. When he started to fight in heavyweight, it was already obvious the size difference. Even relatively small Derek Chisora was much wider and bigger than Usyk. That's how it happened the fight with Anthony Joshua. In the fight with Anthony Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk was a huge underdog. Everybody thought that he was brought to be killed. Under former undisputed cruiserweight source, he was brought in London after pandemic to be killed by national hero Anthony Joshua in front of British crowd. The size difference is amazing. The power difference is different, of course. But how Oleksandr Usyk surprised everybody. He started to fight smart. This fighter was not physically strong. But because of his speed, he started to use his legs. And he simply didn't let Joshua close and overstruck him from a distance. That was a shocking moment when he won that fight. And in the rematch, Anthony Joshua was much stronger and much better prepared. Oleksandr Usyk felt all his power in the 9th round. And that was the question, what he is going to do in the situation when this big guy is going to press him down during all fight. Something close what showed later Tyson Fury. He uses a lot of clinches. And his physical power is much more dangerous for this type of fighter. When he fought with Daniel Dubois, he knocked him out twice. A lot of people are thinking that Dubois won their first fight because there was a body shot, not a low blow. But in their next fight, he showed unavailability to make something with Oleksandr Usyk, despite that he was already a champion for the second time by defeating Anthony Joshua. Everybody expected the fight against modern young heavyweights, because Usyk is beating the fighters which best days are gone. According to a lot of fans and experts' opinion, Ajit Kabayel was next in the line, or Fabio Wardley. That was the time when he was still a champion and not defeated by Dubois. But suddenly, it was announced the fight with Rico Verhoeven, the name which a lot of fans are hearing for the first time in boxing. But this Dutch fighter is very famous kickboxing champion. Rico Verhoeven was 37 years old. This fighter is collecting huge stadiums. His knockouts are legend. But this sport is different. Conor McGregor also was a UFC's double champion and a pure knockouter. But when he faced Floyd Mayweather, who was already 40 years old in the boxing ring, Conor McGregor was only dangerous first couple rounds. Later, it was a one-side beating. The same tried to do Francis Ngannou. A heavyweight boxing champion Tyson Fury versus a heavyweight UFC's champion Francis Ngannou. Despite that he was able to drop Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King was still able to dominate inside the ring as he always doing, despite that he fights dirty with a lot of clinches. In the fight with Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou was dropped in the first round and knocked out in the second, despite that this is the most dangerous puncher in UFC. Everybody thought that everything will be the same with Rico Verhoeven. Even during their walkouts, it was obvious how big underdog Rico Verhoeven is, the biggest for all Usyk's career. But the real fight surprised everybody. A clumsy stance of Rico Verhoeven started to literally demolish Oleksandr Usyk. He was helpless inside the ring. There was no famous footwork of Oleksandr Usyk, and his availability to conduct by jab in front of opponent's face. Rico Verhoeven, who was bigger, stronger, and had no experience in boxing, showed that Oleksandr is not a dangerous fighter. What Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury could not show, despite that they are the same size as Rico. And for now there are a lot of questions, even for this late stoppage after the bell. As it was mentioned before, Oleksandr Usyk is a very small heavyweight. If we will compare him in the fight with Tony and his shape from his heavyweight debut, he is almost the same size as he was in cruiserweight. Even when he fought with Anthony Joshua, it was also a cruiserweight shape, when he simply didn't cut the weight. Anthony Joshua is much bigger, and when he started to press down Oleksandr in their second fight, he started to feel everything. But he found some keys for Joshua's style. And the same for Tyson Fury. Because a classic drawing of Tyson Fury is his dirty boxing, which is not punishing. He is exhausting his opponents by a lot of clinches. Normal referee would punish him for clinch abuse. But if Usyk is staying away from Fury and striking from the distance, he is not dangerous. It was even obvious in their second fight, where Oleksandr even pressed him down and tried to perform the same knockdown as he made it in their first fight. The knockout is an unofficial rule in heavyweight. Usyk took so much hate when he finished the second fight with Joshua by split decision. On the paper, Rico Verhoeven must be an easy target for Oleksandr. But the reality was different, because this fighter was the first fighter who properly used his height advantage for a fight with Usyk. A lot of fans started to laugh that Rico started to slouch, the same as the character of Jim Carrey. But this thing gave an advantage against Usyk. That was Peter Fury's idea to do that thing, because when he made his debut fight in boxing, he fought in normal stance, and exactly the same he fought during his kickboxing career. The big high advantage is a present for Usyk because he is going to do exactly the same thing as he loves to do with tall fighters, his snappy jab, and then an invisible left straight to the body or into the head. By doing this stance, Rico seriously protected his head, because he constantly rushed forward. Mary's Breedis showed that Usyk's fighting style is not working when his opponent is constantly pressing him down. It is even easier to do when the fighter is taller and physically stronger, because Verhoeven is a real heavyweight. Usyk just gained some mass for that weight class, and he is not like Daniel Dubois, who is small relatively to the modern heavyweights, but he has big muscles. We can track the shape of Usyk during his heavyweight career. He is gaining some weight step by step, but that is more because of fat. His muscle core is still the same as he had in cruiserweight. He is very small against Rico. The reason number 2 why his fighting style didn't work. Rico is a kickboxer, and the best heavyweight kickboxer of modern days. Therefore, he is using a lot of clinches. On the paper, it is illegal in boxing, but nobody punishes fighters for now. It is called a clinch abuse. When Tommy Fury fought with Jake Paul, both fighters were punished for clinching. That means that Verhoeven is even not afraid more to press down Usyk and fight him on the close distance. A nightmare for Usyk. His Soviet Union boxing school is not allowing him to fight at the close distance. And for the first time, we can see how Usyk started to work as the second number. The same as fighting Shakur Stevenson, because he simply had no choice. Even his famous footwork didn't work. Right before that, his opponents could not close the distance because of this snappy jab. And of course this left arm, which Usyk always hides. That was the reason why Dubois was knocked down twice in their second fight, the same as he caught Fury. This thing didn't work here because Verhoeven slouched, and Usyk was forced to work only by uppercuts. The main goal of Rico was to close the distance by any cost. The scorecards shocked the world, because if we will have a look at them now, they went equal, because even independent judges scored it as a pure victory of Rico. This is a totally robbery, the most impudent robbery of modern days. Even more impudent than it was in the fight Gennady Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez. Mike Coppinger scored it as a pure victory of Rico Verhoeven. That fight was even not equal. But then happened the first knockdown in the 11th round. Kickboxing has maximum 5 rounds. Here he must survive 12 rounds. Of course, this pressure requires a lot of stamina. Therefore, when he accepted all these punches, he simply got tired. Plus, this fight was in Egypt. It is even not a stadium. Means that the heat feels good. This is the cardio drawdown. Usyk spotted that this clumsy stance is perfect for his uppercut. That's how he finally found out how to knock him out. Because he started to work like that. Verhoeven fall down. According to the rules, the referee must count down to 8. Then Usyk started to demolish Verhoeven, and here is the stoppage. And the stoppage right after the ring bell. Therefore, the referee took a lot of hate from fans and experts. Because he even stopped his fight right after the ring bell. Now we are going to explain why this thing happened. After the fight with Kim Duk-Koo versus Ray Mancini. That was a famous story when the fighter died after this fight. Because it was hard 15-round fight. Then it was cut down to 12. And after the modern day's history of Pritchard Colin. When he became disabled. Referee started to stop the fight even earlier. There is the rule: if the fighter is not answering for 7 seconds, referee must stop the fight. Liam Smith knocked down Chris Eubank Jr., and right after that knockdown, referee made a decision to stop this. Referee even can make a decision to not let the fighter to fight even after the rest. Because in case of something bad, the referee will be responsible for this tragedy. The same as it was in the fight with Pritchard. Also, Rico had 2 bubble hematomes on his face. That is the sign for the skull crack, which is much more dangerous as well. The same as was stopped the fight Devin Haney versus Zor Abdulov. If the referee can't be sure of clarity in the eyes of the fighter, he must stop the fight. Because there are a lot of cases when the fighter felt himself good. But right after the fight, he started to face serious circumstances. Even death. That even happened after the knockdown. Referee sees that Rico can't protect himself. That's why he made this decision to save the fighter. Was that fight a robbery? If we are talking about the scorecards, it definitely is. Usyk took only a few rounds for this fight, and even was a step from being knocked out. Rico Verhoeven surprised a lot of fans. And of course, this is a very good setup for the rematch. But what is the most important? Usyk can't do this now. Because Ajit Kabayel is expecting his schedule for a very long time. Therefore, Usyk must fight with him first. Also, everybody is forgetting that he is already 40 years old. That thing is also important. That is a myth that the fighter can fight in the heavyweight being 40 years old. That thing works when heavyweights are fat and clumsy. The real heavyweight, as Muhammad Ali, had a lot of troubles being already 38. The same is for Mike Tyson. We will make a special video round by round to see who took that fight according to the scorecards. Was Oleksandr Usyk bad? Or this fight was equal?